And you're good to go.
Continue. Okay, we're ready to go. Hi, everybody. My name is Val Studer, and I am going to be teaching this class today. We're going to be doing this inked snowflake card. You can see that. And so we've got a few different techniques that we're going to be doing for this card. We're going to be doing an inking technique, and we're also going to be die cutting with our metal dies. You can see this is the metal die. It's the middle of the snowflake, but I've got the other one on the pad, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But let me tell you just a little bit about myself. I live in McKinney, Texas. I am in my craft room at home, but I am a designer for Michaels. So I'm a project designer. So I'm basically a professional crafter. Who knew that was such a thing, but it's a pretty cool job. So I designed this card, and so I'm teaching it, and we'll go ahead and get started. So you should have seen the supply list. So the things that you need for this card are the inks. So we're going to be using a lighter color, a lighter blue, and a darker blue. If you only have one color, it's possible just with pressure that you can get the same effect. So you can kind of see on this card how it looks lighter in the center around the snowflake, and then it gets darker as it goes out to the edges. So and the way I accomplished that was I started with the light color in the center, and then I added the darker color as we went out. The other thing that you're gonna be needing is a die cutting machine and the dies. So I am using a Cuttlebug because that's what I have. You can use a Sizzix Big Kick. You know, even if you have a Cricut at home and you want to die cut your own snowflakes, you can do the same thing that way. But we're not doing a Cricut die cut this time. We're going to use the actual metal dies that we sell in the store. So let's go ahead and start with the ink. And what I'd like for you to start with is maybe some scrap paper, scrap cardboard, scrap cardstock, or just some paper. So I want you to sort of practice before you go right onto your card with the ink dauber. So these two inks are dye inks, and the dye inks, the way you can tell a dye ink from a pigment ink is the dye inks are usually on these felted pads, and the pigment inks are usually on a spongier pad, and they're more opaque. So what you're going to do is you're going to ink up your dauber with the lighter color first. And this is not the card, this is just a scrap paper. So I just want to show you. So I'm going to start lightly going in circles, and then I'm going to increase the pressure as my circles get bigger. Whoops, don't do that. So my paper caught, and so it got a little darker there, but hopefully we can rub some of that out, and we're going to cover it up with the darker color. So now I'm going to ink my dauber in the darker color, and I'm going to and you're going to start with a light hand and start going around that, and then you just keep going, and you can blend as you go around, and you can increase the pressure that you're pushing with the dauber too. And as you go out, you're just going to be and I'm doing little swirls after I've gotten my sort of circular part done. And you'll just kind of keep going over it until you get a nice smooth coverage. You can kind of see as I'm going, you can still see where the pressure is heavier and lighter on there, but you'll just keep using your dauber and pressing down, adding some more ink, pressing down a little harder. And then you can kind of, as you got your darker edges on the outside, you can kind of go back into the inside, but you want to kind of keep it lighter on the inside if you want to get that little halo around the snowflake. So our snowflake is about, let me get a ruler real quick here. Our snowflake is, oh, I did that backwards. I might need my glasses. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of an inch. So when you're on your card, we're going to be using an A7 card, which is what the instructions called for, which is 5 inches across. So your halo is going to be a big part of the middle of your card. So you can even leave the very inside of the halo white, and then just do a light blue, and then just get darker and darker and darker as you go out. Are there any questions yet?
So far, no questions.
I'm sorry?
So far, no questions.
Okay. So, I mean, I know that this is definitely something that might take a little practice to get your ink coverage the way you want it. So what we'll do, I'll go ahead and we'll create the card, but if you want to wait to assemble your card or to do your card and just work on scrap paper as we're going along, that's totally fine. If you don't want to ruin your cards or take a chance of, but you can kind of see as you get, once you get your halo, you can really get a good coverage of the ink just by doing little swirls around the outside. And you know, your coverage doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be smooth. This is kind of emulating a sky, a night sky. So that's kind of, this is just my scrap paper, but you can kind of see what I've done there. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle my card. So this is my card front. I'm just going to keep it folded when I do it. So I'm going to sort of rub off excess ink from my Dauber so that when I go back into the light blue, it's not so contaminated with the darker blue. Now, if you have more than one Dauber or a different type of Dauber, like there's this kind of Dauber too. It's a mini ink applicator by Ranger, and the you can take the little sponge things off. You can, so you could have one for your dark and one for your light. So if you have that would be great too. But I initially did this card with this Dauber and it worked fine. So if you have multiple Daubers, go for it. If you only have the one, then just sort of rub off a lot of the excess ink before you start again with your lighter color. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up on my lighter blue. I'm going to kind of find the center of my card. Oh, my fingers are all inky. Well, hopefully I won't transfer that. So I'm going to start in a circular motion on the center of the card. I'm going to increase the pressure as I go out, as my circle gets bigger. This cardstock that I'm using, this card that I'm using, seems to be a little bit smoother than what I was practicing on. So I think I'm getting a little bit more consistent coverage of the ink. So now I'm going to go ahead and get some of my darker ink, and using a light hand, I'm just going to start adding to that circle. And then I'm going to work my way out, and I'm going to increase the pressure as I'm working my way out. I find with these daubers doing swirls really works the best as far as distributing the ink smoothly.
We don't have any questions so far, but someone is saying that they love the blues and silvers for Christmas.
I know they're so, it really is a nice combination. It's just so different. You used to seeing so many reds and greens, and the blues just, I don't know, they feel really peaceful to me. Oh, my arm's getting tired. I didn't know I needed to work out to do this card. This is going to make a really nice card to give to somebody special. You know, it might not be something you want to make a lot of. If you got the time and the wherewithal, go for it. But it'll make a really nice card for someone special. So I think I kind of like where I've gone with this. I'm going to cheat just a little bit because I pre-punched out a card of Snowflake. So I just kind of want to lay it on there and see. And you, after we die cut our snowflakes, you can go back and do this step. But you know, I like that. I have a bigger halo than I did on my original card. But if you want to decrease your halo, you can just start going around and around, sort of on the outer edge of your halo area. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. And if y'all are ready for me to show you about the die cutting, I will do that next. I'm going to just move this out of the way and bring my Cuttlebug into the picture. So this is an older Cuttlebug. I think there's a newer one, plus the Sizzix Big Kick, if you know how to use that. It's the same concept. You basically make a sandwich with your dies. So let me move this so I can show you. So you basically make a sandwich with your dies. You have your base layer, which is called, they call it a spacer. I'm putting an extra piece of paper in there sort of as a shim, because when I goes through, I want to make sure I'm cutting it when I'm putting it through. So I shim it with just extra sheets of cardstock. So this is just one sheet of cardstock. Then I'm putting down, oh, actually I lied. I'm going to use two. I had two in there when I did it before and it worked good. Then you put your C plate down. Then you put your cardstock down and then your die face down. So this is the cutting side of the die. This is the back of the die. And now you can sandwich this die, but for this purpose, we're not going to do that. I'm going to send it through twice. But if you were, I think it's designed basically, so if you wanted to, you could do that and cut out the center. And that's what I did on this one. I cut out the center on this one. But for this purpose, I don't want to cut out the center because if you look at the card that I did, that now I can't find what I did with it. Oh, here it is. You'll see I'm putting a silver snowflake over it, but you'll see that if I were to use the one where I die cut out the center, then this area right here would be blue and not white. So I'm basically using a solid snowflake as my base. So I'm going to go ahead and put the B plate on top, and I have to stand up when I do this. I need to get some leverage. So I'm going to go ahead and put it through my die cut machine and just crank. I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to come back, just give it an extra little bit of pressure, make sure it cut nicely. So, yep. Here we go. Oh, you know what? I didn't take the die out when I cut it. So I did cut all the way through. I'm going to do another one real quick, and I wasn't even paying attention to where it was, so it wasn't even centered. One tip that you can do if you do want to cut it like that and have it sandwiched like that is use some tape and some light tack tape, and you can hold your dies in place up with the light tack tape. I'm going to cut that out again without the center this time. So this is what I'm doing this time. Through and back through. Okay, so there we have the solid snowflake.
Sorry, Val, we have a question.
Okay.
Marvin or Lucy want to know if instead of cutting, if you can just use the die and use the dabbler and put color on your card that way.
Oh, kind of almost use it as a stamp.
I'm not sure. Is that what you guys want to know?
Like if you don't want to cut out, so are you saying that you have the snowflake die, but you don't want to cut with it?
Yeah, that's what they're asking.
Okay. You know, I think you could do that. Why not? Let's just try something here. I'm just gonna dab my die onto my ink pad and see what happens. And I'm just gonna, I've got a little corner right here. Well, it didn't come out real good, but you guys might be able to do a better job than I did just now trying to fumble with it. But I say go for it, try it. You know, if you don't have the dies or the die cuts, you know, you can always cut a snowflake out the old-fashioned way, you know, folding your paper and cutting it out that way too. So that's an idea. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the center of the snowflake out. I need both of those pieces, so I'm just going to cut it like that. Whoops.
Val, we have another couple of questions. The
Okay.
first one is if you can show the original against what is cut up in the negative space. They want to know exactly what it is you're cutting out and if you can cut it out also with scissors and Cricut.
Okay. Yes, you can cut it out. You know that, so, okay, so if you have the die, but you don't have a die cutting machine, this is what the die looks like. Make sure I'm in screen here. This is what the die looks like. So you can see on the die where the lines are, that are the raised lines on the die are what is cutting your paper. So I think if you're going to cut something with the scissors, I mean, you could cut, or you could trace around this and cut it out, but you're not going to get your detail. You're just going to sort of have to figure out a way to get the details of the snowflake. The other thing you could try is you could try laying this on a piece of cardstock, and underneath your cardstock, put something kind of soft, like a mouse pad maybe, and press into it to make an impression. And then you would have a pattern to follow. So that you could try that. I've never tried that, but you certainly can use your Cricut. If you have a Cricut and you want to find a snowflake pattern in design space and cut it out that way, that is, go for it. Any way you want to come up with your snowflake is fine. If you want to cut it, if you want to do your folded paper and cut it out that way, like how you used to do when you were a kid, you can do it that way too. But this is the actual snowflake die that we're using for this. So there's you know, a bunch of different ways you can do it. So this is the card, and this is the first snowflake that I cut out.
Val, could you maybe raise the die up to the the camera, because we can't really appreciate the you know, the lines, the raised lines.
Oh, this one. Sorry,
yeah.
I was on the wrong camera.
There you go.
So the parts that you see the detail on are raised, and that's the sharper edge, and that's what's cutting your paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out these other pieces. And I'm gonna go all the way through and come back. Okay. We have this piece, like my blue fingertips. Might wanna, if your fingertips are blue, you might wanna clean them off. I am going to try to find a baby wipe here. My favorite crafting tool. My fingers off. Well, I think my fingers are going to be blue for a while. I'm going to be a little Smurf. Yeah, it's dye ink, Val. It's not going to come off. So, you may have to work a little harder to get your fingers clean. Okay, so now I have my inked card, my base snowflake. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to move that down so you can see. So I have my pieces here. We are also using from this package. The package looks like this, so it's got gold ones in it and silver ones in it. And if you like gold better, go for it. You can use the gold. So I have the snowflake from that package here. And that's basically what we're going to start with. So we can go ahead and so I am using this Tombow's Mono liquid glue. It's a good glue for paper crafting. You can use a tape runner if you want, but I find that when you're trying to get these little edges on your snowflake, it's easier if you've got something with a tip. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue. And you can get the base of your snowflake down too, and then go back and glue down the little fragile parts. You can use a glue stick too, really. Just be careful when you're doing the intricate parts that you don't wrinkle them too much. And then I'm just going to add some glue. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the center of my card. Now I need my baby wipe, because now I've got glue on my fingers. Okay, so that's the base of the snowflake. And the
Val,
next layer is the glitter snowflake. Yes?
Sorry, Val. Could you tell us again what glue you're using for the snowflake?
I'm using Tombow's Mono liquid glue. You'll find it in the paper crafting section where the other like scrapbooking and paper crafting glues, adhesives are. And it usually hangs on a peg. And it's got a little tip on this end, and then it's also got a bigger dauber on the other end, so you can get bigger coverage. Another glue that I like to use when I'm doing intricate things, and it's not in your supply list, but I just want to give you a little tip. It's the Zig pen glue and glue pen, and it basically, it works kind of like a paint pen where you have to prime it. And then the glue comes out. When it comes out blue, and then it dries clear. So you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that. You can't really see that. But that's another one, because you can control it, because you can draw it on like a pen. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and stick down the snowflake. Is this snowflake a sticker? I don't think it is. Oh, it is a sticker. Okay. So you should, yeah, okay, it is a sticker. So you can just peel off the backing and stick it over the other snowflake. And I like to try to position it when I can between the ends of these other snowflakes, but that's gonna hold real nice. Then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put this other piece on, this round piece that we die cut. And I like to, if it has some little holes you can see in here, and it didn't, this one didn't come out. So I'm just using my weeding tool for my Cricut. But if you don't have one of those, a thumbtack or a pin. I used to have this thing in my toolbox and I called it my pokey tool. I don't even know what it was for, but if that was missing, somebody was in trouble. They borrowed my pokey tool and I liked my pokey tool. But now these weeding tools have come out, so at least I have that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue that on. I'm going to just use a little bit of scrap paper here to, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of, I'm just dabbing glue all over it. I don't want to get too much on there because I don't want it to ooze out. If I just dab little dots, I should get enough on that. Too much on there, but okay, go ahead and lay that
Wait, Val,
over
oh,
the glitter.
you've already glued it
Now,
on. Is there any way
I'm
you
sorry.
could maybe bring it up to the camera? Someone
Yes, I
wanted
sure
to see if you could show it
can.
before pasting it on,
Yep.
but
So here's where we are now. I just went ahead and put this circular piece over the glitter snowflake. Sometimes some adhesives don't want to stick to glittery things, which is another reason why I use this liquid glue. Tape runners don't like to stick to glitter. So, okay, so now we have 3 layers. You have your base snowflake, you have your glitter sticker, and then you have the round die cut piece. So the final die cut piece that we have looks like this. It was one of the 3 pieces of the die that I used. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to use a dot, a foam dot. We have foam dots and squares. They basically all work the same. They are basically foam stickers. You could even use foam tape on a roll and cut yourself a piece. It's not gonna come off. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. It's sticky at one side. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the middle of my snowflake like that. And then I'm going to peel the protective paper off the top. So now it's going to be sticky on the top as well. And I am going to stick the middle of the snowflake piece on there, and it's going to be raised up a little bit. So you can kind of see how it's raised up from the foam sticker. You don't have to do that. I think it's always interesting if you can add some dimension.
Val, could you go again through how you got it to be like a little raised?
Yeah, so these are foam dots. They used to be called pop dots back in the scrapbooking days, or foam dots. You might find them in squares as well. So basically what they are is they're just a little piece of foam sticky on both sides. So I know that there's foam on a roll that you can cut, or there's already made squares, or these dots. And this particular one comes in a smaller package, and it has a small, medium, and large size dot on it. So you can kind of see what those are. And they're about 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, so there's where we're at right now. So to finish it off, I put a gem, I put a stick-on gem in the middle of the snowflake. So you can do that if you'd like. They come already sticky, so all I have to do is just, well, it would help if I put it in the middle. There you go. So I'm going to kind of turn it so you can kind of see. All right. So that's the snowflake portion. And then, so like if you wanted to, let's just say you had some other gem stickers, you could put little gems around it in the sky. You can use glitter glue, stickles. Glitter glue is usually a liquid well, it's liquid glitter is what it is. That takes a while to dry though, so you're gonna have to set your card aside for quite a while to let it dry, because my experience has been that it's just taken longer than you think to dry. So then the next thing we're gonna do for this card is we're going to stamp our sentiment right there. And we're using this jar of stamps, which is really a fun product. It's got all of these little stamps in it. So I did Let It Snow because we did a snowflake, but you could use Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or Season Greetings or one of the other images, but they basically look like this. This is my Let It Snow stamp. So this is kind of fun if you're doing a lot of different things. So we're just going to stamp it on a piece of cardstock with the darker blue ink. I'm just stamping it on a piece of cardstock. Now I didn't even get it straight, and I'll tell you why I like to do it this way. Rather than cut my little square out first and try to get my stamp exactly over that little square and make sure it's straight, I would prefer to have it on my paper and then cut my square out with the sentiment already stamped on the paper. So that way I know that I need to go ahead and then cut this a little bit at an angle for it to be straight. And then I can cut it. It doesn't have to be any specific size. You can just cut around the sentiment the way you want to use it. And I am a big proponent of a paper trimmer, but you can also use a ruler and a scissors and pencil. I have a pretty good eyeball. So there's glue on that paper. So I'm going to, so what I like to do, if you're using a Fiskars trimmer, the Fiskars trimmer has a wire in it, and I use it all the time for lining things up. So I'm going to see if I can get this up close. So you can see that there's a line underneath the word snow. That's where I have the wire. Now that's not where I'm going to cut, because I would cut right at the bottom of that. But I'm going to use it as my guide, and I'm going to slide it slightly away. What happened to my blade? Oh, there it is. And I'm going to trim it. So now I have dropped my blade again. Sorry about that. I'm just going to cut this piece of paper out because I used a big sheet, which I shouldn't have, but it was laying around. So now I know that this side is pretty square. It's at least lined up with the bottom of my word snow. So I'm going to lay that up against the edge of my paper trimmer. So now it should be square. So I'm just going to keep turning it.
Val, what's the name of the trimmer?
This is a Fiskars paper trimmer. And we also have a private brand Recollections paper trimmer. I don't have that one with me here, so I don't know if it has the wire, but that's why I'm a big fan of this particular one, because this wire in here, I use it all the time as a guide, because that's basically where, I hope you guys can see that. It's so thin you can't hardly see it, but it's where you're going to be cutting. And so you know that where that wire is where your blade is going to go. So that's how I use that all the time. I'm an old paste up artist, if anybody's ever done that back in the day before computers. And so I have a pretty good eye for, about what is 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, and I can kind of pretty much tell if it's straight or not. And I love that guideline there, kind of works the same way. So now I have my little sentiment, and then we're also going to do a little strip of paper. So I'm using this paper pad, called Holiday Shimmers, and there's different colors in there. I'm using the silvery one. There's also a light blue, which might look pretty, but I use the silver, and I just cut a 1/2 inch strip, which I've already done on my paper trimmer. If you do any kind of paper crafting or card making, I highly recommend a paper trimmer. I think it's like one of the crucial tools that will just make your life so much easier. You won't have to worry about straight edges. You'll just be getting them. So this is the strip. So we're going to go ahead and adhere it along the bottom here, about a ½ inch from the bottom or so. I'm going to use a tape runner to do that, but you could use your glue as well. It just depends on what supplies you have around. And I like to line it up on the left edge, let it hang off the right edge, and then I'm just going to trim it with my scissors. And then now it's time to put our little sentiment on, and we're going to use a foam dot again. We're going to raise that up. You don't have to, but on this one, you can see that I did. Casts a little bit of a shadow. And these little dots make it so easy to do it. It's fun to do. So then you're just going to center that. And hold that up so you can see. Push that down. So that's your card. Your card is done. You know, if you wanted to add glitter to it, you know, glitter, and so if you didn't have glitter glue, but you have some glitter laying around, you could use your mono adhesive and just do little dots. I think I have some glitter. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You just do some little dots in the background and sprinkle some glitter on them. Let's see what that looks like. We're going off script now. You can kind of see what that does. You wanted to add a little more interest to your card, you can do that. Get ready for a mess because glitter is messy. I know lots of people love it, but it is messy. So that's pretty much taking you through the card. Do you guys have any questions? I hope that I explained the die cutting process to you guys. It's fun. And if you're not a Cricut person or you don't want to make the investment into a Cricut, there are a lot of metal dies out there, and a Big Kick, a Sizzix Big Kick, and the Cuddlebugs and whatnot are a little bit more affordable way to get some die cutting done. I see a question that says, do they sell the paper trimmers at Michael's? Yes, they do. We sell the Fiskars ones and the Recollections ones. You guys, anybody want to show me their cards? I'd love to see what you've done. I mean, I understand maybe some of you just watched it for the instructions, but and you're going to make it later. But if anybody has anything they want to share, feel free to share. It's great to see everybody. Oh, there's one. All right. Very nice. Happy Hanukkah. Love it. Perfect color scheme, isn't it? Oh, there's another one. Yay. Very nice. I have to keep moving my pages to see. Not a lot of people are on their videos, which I'm usually not a video person either when I'm on Zoom. Well, it's great to see everybody, and I'm so glad you guys all came and wanted to make a card today. Show again, I missed it. You want to see my card? I'm going to show you my card again. You can see my little sparkles at the top. That's where I added some glue and some glitter. But I love paper crafting. I love all things paper. I love paper, and it's been fun to make some cards and have fun with that way. So.
Sorry, we have a couple questions coming in.
Okay.
So Cher wants to know, you mentioned 2 types of cutters. What's the difference?
There's really not much of a difference. The Fiskars cutter, the Fiskars brand has probably more sizes of cutters. They have like mine, I'll show you mine. This is the one I use. It's a 12-inch cutter. Okay, and then this comes out and it snaps into place. So now you have a nice square. So you're gonna have a 90-degree angle that way. You push your cardstock up to the top and make sure it's flush against there. Then you'll know you'll have a straight line when you cut. The Fiskars ones come with only a cutting blade, which is this, but they come out, which is why you kept hearing me say my blade fell on the floor. I think mine's gotten loose over the years, but there's also a scoring blade, which is black, which is the other thing I love about this one. So this is a scoring blade. So you can just, now you can make your own card. You can score right down the middle of the card and you can score with that. The Recollections trimmer looks similar to this. It's not orange like the Fiskars one is. That's their brand color. But it comes with a cutting blade and a scoring blade. With the Fiskars ones used to come with a scoring blade, but now you have to buy that separate, I believe. So that's basically, they're basically the same idea. It's not a rotary cutter with a wheel, like, and it's not a lever, what do I want to call it? A lever cutter, like a big, you know, like a paper cutter you used to use when you were in school. It has these little, just this little blade. It's sharp. It will cut your finger. See it? And the scoring one, it looks like
a little
like
more to the right. We
oh,
can't.
sorry.
There we go.
It looks like a little wheel. It doesn't actually roll, but it's kind of like a metal wheel, and that makes a nice score. So, are there any other questions?
Yeah. Someone wants to know how you would put words inside of the card if that's what you want to do.
Besides writing them? Well, there's stamps. So there's a lot of different sentiment stamps. So you could open up your card and let's see, what do I have laying around here? I have, what do I do with those? Imagine that, I can't find anything in my craft room. Well, so there's some sentiment stamps. I'm trying to find something to show you guys, but I don't have anything laying around at the moment. It'd just be a bigger version of Let It Snow. Let's just say something might say, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. So you can stamp that inside your card. You could also do something on your computer, find a font that you like and print it out in color, trim it out and adhere it into the center of your card. So that would be a nice one to do. Oh, somebody just said, are the blades replaceable? Yes, you can buy new blades when they get dull. When your paper starts to sort of have a fuzzy edge, it's time to change your blade. So this whole thing, you don't change the blade in it, you change the whole thing. You just buy them like this. Did I explain?
So we have a few more questions.
Okay.
So the blue that you used, what shade of blue is it, and what type of medium is it? Is it acrylic, watercolor? What?
It's dye ink. So it's Craftsmart dye ink. This blue doesn't say on the front what color it is. Let's see if it says on the back. Royal blue. The darker blue is Craftsmart dye ink royal blue. And the lighter color is Craftsmart dye ink light blue.
Perfect. And could you tell us the name of the glue with the tip again?
Yes, the mono liquid glue. I think if you go to our website and find this project on the website, it will have all the supplies listed, and it will have pictures of the supplies. And I know this glue, I just looked at it before we started. So I know this glue is on there, and we do sell it. So.
Perfect. And what?
Somebody was asking, how do you clean? Are you asking me how to clean stamps?
Yeah, that's the question I was going to ask.
I use a baby wipe. I use baby wipes for just about everything, and I love baby wipes. You can stamp it right. I mean, you can see I've almost just about cleaned it, and they're gentle. Obviously, they're gentle because you're using them on your baby's bottoms, so they're going to be nice and gentle for your rubber stamps. If you're using a permanent ink like a StazOn, which is an alcohol-based ink it's permanent and waterproof, basicling, you're going to want to use a StazOn cleaner for that. They make a specific cleaner for that, and they do make ink. They do make stamp cleaning solutions. But my little tip is use a baby wipe. They're cheap and they're great for everything.
And so Yeah, someone wants to know how that Tombow glue is different from the ones in the white bottle.
I am not 100% sure, except that I know that Tombow makes things that are specifically good for paper crafting. The back of this says dual applicators and one ergonomic dispenser, pen tip for narrow, small areas, broad tip for large areas, strong permanent bond, ideal for paper photos and poster board, goes on clear, dries clear, acid-free, and washable. So it could be that that it's acid-free and the white ones might not be. But you know, if white is what you have, the white glue is fine too. This just, I know that Tombow makes things that are good for paper crafting. And so whereas you might get some puckering or some bubbling when you use a wetter glue on paper, this is supposed to be better for that and prevent it. But Tombow also has a white one too, so that is made for paper as well. It's in a green, instead of a blue tip, it's a green tip, and I think the glue is white. But Elmer's makes some paper crafting products. There's quite a few out there, and if it just says if you're going to use it for paper crafting, and it says it's for paper crafting, it should really be fine. And same with these Zig pens. They go on, they're blue. It's blue when they're wet, but it's clear when they dry. And they have one that has, this has a chisel tip, but there's one that is almost like a pen tip. So
So I think there are no
any
more
other
questions.
questions?
Just Ellen, she didn't have the snowflakes, so she did a Hanukkah card, which I think is really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Sue says that you should make friends with other stampers so that you can share. I
Absolutely.
think it's a
There's so
great
many
idea.
there's Stampers groups, Stampers Anonymous, and other Stampers groups. If you like paper crafting and stamping, wow, the sky's the limit. And there's so many videos out there, and you can just learn so many tips and tricks. I watch videos all the time. I'm constantly learning, even though I do this for a living. You know, I hadn't done a lot of paper crafting in a few years until recently. It just wasn't a big focus of what my assignments were. And so I've been watching a lot of videos and learning, and been playing with distress inks and distress oxide inks. And it's just, all you have to do is Google search it and you'll find videos galore on different things you can do. I'm
So
gonna
I
take my
think that's
glasses off.
pretty much it. Everyone's really happy. They really loved it. They're saying great
Good.
class.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I guess that will wrap it up then. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Love having you, and keep making cards. Bye.
Bye.